Hi everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today we're diving into a topic that I believe can truly transform your life. It is about how embracing and overcoming failure can actually lead to incredible success. Quick question. Have you ever felt the sting of failure? Maybe it was a business that didn't work out, a project that flopped, or a goal that seemed just out of reach. We've all been there, and it can be incredibly painful and frustrating. But what if I told you that overcoming those failures could be the key to your ultimate success? So stay with me as we explore John Maxwell's groundbreaking book, Failing Forward, and learn how to turn your setbacks into stepping stones. John Maxwell opened the book by challenging the traditional view of failure as something to be feared and avoided at all costs. He argues that failure is an inevitable part of the journey towards success and suggests that embracing failure on your journey to success can lead to personal and professional growth. Maxwell advocates for a paradigm shift, encouraging readers to embrace failure as a valuable learning experience rather than a roadblock. He sets a tone for the book by emphasizing the transformative potential of failing forward. Maxwell emphasizes that the difference between average people and accomplished people is their perception of and response to failure. He stated that nothing else has the same kind of impact on people's ability to achieve and accomplish their goals in life. He also stated that one way to be a loser is to fail and not look beyond the failure. So how people view failure and deal with it impact every aspect of their lives. People need to change their perception of failure from a dead-end road to seeing failure as a life lesson. So when you encounter failure, ask yourself, what can I learn from this experience? This approach of thinking will help you develop resilience and a growth mindset. Before we dive further into the book, here is a story that might sound familiar to many of you. But first, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss out on our empowering content. Let's dive in. Thomas had always been ambitious and driven, with dreams of building a successful business empire. He worked tirelessly, pouring his heart and soul into his entrepreneurial endeavors, but success always seemed just out of reach. One day, Thomas launched a new business venture, pouring all of his savings and energy into it. Despite his best efforts, the business failed miserably, leaving Thomas devastated. The failure shook him to his core, shattering his confidence and leaving him with a deep sense of shame and inadequacy. As Thomas grappled with the aftermath of his failed business, he began to internalize the failure, seeing himself as a failure in every aspect of his life. He became consumed by self-doubt and insecurity, second-guessing every decision he made. The fear of failing again loomed over him like a dark cloud, paralyzing him with indecision. Years passed, and Thomas found himself stuck in a cycle of regret and resignation. He watched from the sidelines as others took risks and pursued their dreams, but he could never muster the courage to do the same. The fear of failure held him back, trapping him in a prison of his own making. As Thomas approached his 70th birthday, he found himself reflecting on his life with a sense of deep regret. He realized that he had spent decades playing it safe, never daring to venture outside of his comfort zone, for fear of failing again. And now, as he looked back on his life, he couldn't help but wonder what might have been if he had taken more risks. With each passing year, Thomas's regret grew stronger, gnawing away at him like a relentless tide. He longed for the courage to break free from the shackles of fear and embrace life with open arms. But the weight of his past failures held him firmly in place. As Thomas sat alone on his 70th birthday, surrounded by the ghosts of his unfulfilled dreams, he made a vow to himself. He vowed to no longer let fear dictate his life, to no longer let the shadow of past failures hold him back. He vowed to seize every opportunity that came his way, no matter how daunting it may seem. And as the candles flickered on his birthday cake, Thomas made a solemn promise to himself that he would live the rest of his life with courage and conviction, unburdened by the fear of failure that had held him captive for so long. For Thomas, it was a bittersweet realization, a belated awakening to the true cost of letting fear rule his life. But as he looked ahead to the uncertain future, he felt a glimmer of hope stirring within him, a spark of possibility that had long lay dormant. And with that newfound sense of purpose, Thomas embarked on the next chapter of his life, determined to make the most of every moment and to never again let fear hold him back. And though the road ahead would be fraught with challenges and uncertainties, Thomas knew that he was finally ready to face them head on, armed with the wisdom of a lifetime and the courage to embrace whatever may come. With this story in mind, let's dive into chapter 1 of the book. This chapter focuses on redefining what it means to fail and succeed. Maxwell argues that failure is not the opposite of success, but part of the journey to achieving it. He stresses the importance of seeing failure as a temporary setback rather than a permanent defeat. Take Thomas Edison, for example, who famously failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb. Instead of letting the failure cripple him, rather he famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." Edison didn't see his numerous attempts as failures, but as necessary steps toward his ultimate success. Also, take Colonel Sanders, for example. Before founding Kentucky Fried Chicken, KFC, at the age of 65, Colonel Harlan Sanders faced numerous failures and setbacks. He experienced multiple business failures, including a failed restaurant and a failed ferry boat company. However, Sanders refused to give up, using each failure as a learning experience. His perseverance eventually led to the creation of one of the most successful fast food chains in the world. So, embrace failure as a natural part of your journey. When you fail, take a moment to reflect on what went wrong and how you can improve. Use each failure as a stepping stone toward your ultimate goal. Think about it. If your perception of and response to failure were changed for the better, what would you attempt to accomplish in life? Secondly, study the way achievers approach failures and negative experiences, and you can learn a lot about how to fail forward. Before we move to chapter 2, take out time to think about a recent failure or negative experience. How did you respond to it? Remember that every person's life is filled with errors and negative experiences. However, errors become mistakes when we perceive them and respond to them incorrectly. Mistakes becomes failures when we continually respond to them incorrectly. Chapter 2 explores the benefits of failure, highlighting how it can lead to growth, resilience, and creativity. Maxwell explains that failure teaches valuable lessons, it builds character, greater empathy, and provides opportunities for innovation. By embracing failure as a learning opportunity, individuals harness transformative power and emerge stronger and more resilient. It's really not about avoiding failure, but learning from it. Take Albert Einstein, for example, a man widely regarded as one of the greatest scientists of all time. Albert Einstein faced numerous failures and setbacks throughout his career. He experienced academic struggles in his youth and initially struggled to find employment as a physicist. However, Einstein refused to be discouraged by failure, using it as motivation to continue his pursuit of knowledge. His perseverance eventually led to his success in his field. Look at Steve Jobs, co-founder of Apple Inc. Steve Jobs encountered multiple failures and setbacks throughout his career. He was fired from Apple in the 1980s, after a power struggle with the company's board of directors. However, Jobs refused to let failure define him, using it as an opportunity to reassess his priorities and pursue new ventures. His resilience and determination ultimately led to his return to Apple and the development of revolutionary products such as the iPhone and iPad. Honestly, the difference between greatness and mediocrity is often how an individual views a negative experience. People are too quick to judge isolated situations in their lives and label them as failures. Instead, they need to keep the bigger picture in mind. Maxwell states that failure is not an event or a destination. Rather, it is a journey. You are the only person that can label what happens to you as a failure. Maxwell also stated that people who fail forward are able to see negative experiences as a regular part of life. So they learn from them and then move on. They persevere in order to achieve their purpose in life. Great minds have purpose, while others have wishes. Little minds are subdued by failures, misfortunes, and negative experiences, but great minds rise above them. So learn to see failure as a learning opportunity. When something doesn't go as planned, take time to reflect. Ask yourself, what went wrong? What can I do differently next time? This will help you grow and improve continually. Honestly, if you can do this, you will put yourself in a much better position to succeed the next time. Chapter 3 explores common reasons why people fail and offers strategies for overcoming them. Maxwell identifies issues such as fear of failure, lack of persistence, and negative attitudes towards setbacks. Remember, failure is not so bad if it doesn't attack your heart, and success is all right if it doesn't get to your head. I think that many people struggle with the feelings of failure because of the damaging and doubtful thoughts it generates about themselves. Honestly, at the heart of those doubtful thoughts and feelings is one central question: am I a failure? It is really difficult to believe that you are a failure and fail forward. So you have to change what you tell yourself about failure. Instead, you say this: I am not a failure. Though I failed at doing something, I missed that one, or I made a mistake. Every genius you have read about could have been a failure because they failed at some point in their lives, but they never regarded themselves as a failure. They never based their self-worth on their performance. Here are more examples of people who did not base their self-worth on their performance. Walt Disney. Before achieving success with his iconic cartoon character, Mickey Mouse, Walt Disney faced numerous failures and setbacks. He experienced financial difficulties, business failures, and even bankruptcy. However, Disney refused to be deterred by failure, using it as motivation to continue pursuing his creative vision. His resilience and determination eventually led to the creation of the Walt Disney Company and the establishment of a global entertainment empire. Oprah Winfrey, media mogul. Oprah Winfrey encountered setbacks early in her career, including being fired from her first television job. However, Winfrey refused to let failure define her, using it as motivation to pursue her passion for broadcasting. She went on to host one of the most successful talk shows in television history and build a media empire that spans television, film, publishing, and philanthropy. We end this chapter by emphasizing the importance of resilience and perseverance in the face of failure, and to adopt a growth mindset and learn from your mistakes. Remember, it's about getting up every time you fall and continuing to move forward. Remember, every successful person has faced failures. It's their resilience that sets them apart. Now let's end with a different story about someone who was inspired by the Failing Forward book and decided to try again after failing. A man named David, who had always dreamed of becoming a successful entrepreneur. He poured his heart and soul into his business ventures, but despite his best efforts, he faced failure after failure. With each setback, David's confidence crumbled, and he began to see himself as a failure. As the years passed, David's fear of failure grew stronger, paralyzing him with self-doubt and uncertainty. He second-guessed every decision he made, convinced that he was doomed to repeat the same mistakes over and over again. Then, one day, David stumbled upon a book called Failing Forward by John C Maxwell. Intrigued by the title, he began to read, and with each page, he felt a glimmer of hope ignite within him. The book challenged David's perception of failure, teaching him that it was not the end, but merely a stepping stone on the path to success. Inspired by the book's message, David embarked on a journey of self-discovery and personal growth. He learned to embrace failure as a natural part of the learning process and to see setbacks as opportunities for growth and improvement. Armed with a newfound sense of resilience and determination, David refused to let fear hold him back any longer. He dove headfirst into his business ventures, facing challenges with courage and conviction. And though he still encountered obstacles along the way, David no longer saw them as insurmountable barriers, but as hurdles to overcome on his journey to success. Years passed, and David's perseverance paid off. He built a thriving business empire, overcoming the odds and proving to himself and others that failure was not a reflection of his worth, but a stepping stone to greatness. As David celebrated his 70th birthday surrounded by friends and family, he looked back on his journey with a sense of pride and gratitude. He shared his story with those gathered, inspiring them with his tale of triumph over adversity. And as he spoke, David could see the hope and determination reflected in the eyes of the younger men and women listening to him. He knew that his story had given them the courage to chase their own dreams, to embrace failure as a teacher rather than a tormentor. As the party came to an end, David made a promise to himself and to those he had inspired that he would continue to live his life with courage and conviction, never backing down in the face of adversity. And though he may face challenges in the years to come, David knew that he had the strength and resilience to overcome them, thanks to the lessons he had learned from his journey of failing forward. John Maxwell's Failing Forward teaches you that failure is not something to fear, but something to embrace. By changing your mindset, learning from your setbacks, and developing resilience, we can turn our failures into stepping stones to success. So the next time you face failure, remember, it's not the end. It's just another step on your journey to success. Thank you for watching. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspirational content. Until next time, stay awesome.